Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about my favorite skincare ingredient of all time again. Yup, tretinoin, you guessed it. Up until this point, I have posted quite a few tretinoin related videos on my channel. I have a video talking all about what tretinoin is and how it benefits the skin, my 3.5-year tretinoin journey, my nighttime skincare routine incorporating tretinoin. I also posted a video recently talking through all 5 of the different methods that I've tried for getting a tretinoin prescription, like Curology, agency, etc. But I was thinking about it and I realized I've never posted a video dedicated to all of my tretinoin hacks, if you will. And I think it's finally time for that video. So in this video, I will be sharing all of my top tretinoin tips and my step-by-step 5-phase process for getting your skin to adapt to tretinoin as quickly as possible with as little irritation as possible so that you don't end up looking like this. Or if you currently look like this, it's okay, I've obviously been there before, then this video will help you to get back on track so that you can figure out how to reincorporate tretinoin into your routine so that that does not happen again. So we're gonna jump into all of that in a second, but before we do, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, click on that notification bell, and drop a comment below letting me know how you are doing today. I hope you guys are doing great, and thank you so much for doing all of those things. It really helps to support me with the YouTube algorithm. As always, if there's anything that you need from me, check out my description box below. I have Lightroom preset filters for editing your Instagram photos, my SPF merch, timestamps, discount codes, and links to my favorite beauty products of all time. All right, let's talk tretinoin. Okay, quick disclaimer before we jump into the content of this video. I know that all of my regular viewers already know this, but in case any of you are new here, just wanted to quickly disclaim that I am not a dermatologist and this video should not be used in place of medical advice from a dermatologist or a medical professional ever, in any way, shape, or form. All of these tips that I'm going to be sharing are based on the research that I've done and my personal experience in using tretinoin for about 3.5 years. Alrighty, let's talk about how to hack this tretinoin system. We'll start off with my general tips first, and then we will move into that step-by-step 5-phase process at the end of this video. In my opinion, the tretinoin game really is all about the long game, and I know that if you're somebody that's not happy with your skin right now, if you feel like it's not in a great place and you want to see those transformative results quickly, that's the last thing that you want to hear. But trust me, doing this is the quickest way to lead you down the road straight towards severe skin barrier damage. I've been there, it's not worth it, because then you're not only going to have to deal with really red, irritated skin that's probably stinging and burning and really painful and flaking off and looking scaly. It's scary looking. You guys saw the picture in the beginning of this video. It hurts, it doesn't look good. Not only are you going to have to figure out how to deal with all of that, but then you're just going to have to wait that much longer to see those results because you're going to have to wait for your skin to heal first. So with that being said, my very first tip is to start off by using a weaker strength retinoid first before you even introduce tretinoin into your skincare routine. So that weaker strength retinoid could be retinol, adapalene, retinaldehyde, it's up to you. I personally started off by using adapalene or Differin, and I used that for about 3 months, I believe, before I started using tretinoin. I was able to use it every single night and I didn't have any issue with irritation, but if you do have issue with irritation and using one of these weaker strength retinoids, then you could follow the same exact step-by-step process that I'll walk through again at the end of the video with tretinoin, but just with this retinoid first. I would recommend using that product for about 3 months before moving on to tretinoin so that your skin has time to adapt to the use of retinoids and you're not just jumping again head first into the deep end with tretinoin where you can end up getting some pretty severe skin barrier damage if your skin has not had time to adapt to those lower strength retinoids. So of course you want to make sure that you don't have any active signs of irritation while you're using that retinoid before you move on to Tret. If you do have active signs of irritation, stick with that product for longer until you no longer do, and then you can move on to Tret. And I will make sure to list some of my favorite starter retinoids in the description box below. Now that we are ready for tretinoin, my next tip is to discontinue use of any other potentially irritating active ingredients for the meantime. So that includes ingredients like salicylic acid, lactic acid, benzoyl peroxide, and glycolic acid. That's not to say that you can never use those ingredients again, because so many of those ingredients are amazing for the skin. But when you first start using tretinoin, even if you've used a retinoid first, you're likely to experience some irritation. And because those ingredients can also be irritating to the skin, even if you're not having issues with them right now, combining them in a routine with tretinoin can really increase the likelihood for irritation. And I shouldn't even say combining them in the same routine, because even if you're using those in the morning and using tretinoin at night, that can just be too much for your skin and end up causing barrier damage. So put a pause on all of your actives until we have made it through the 5-phase process. In that same vein, my next tip is to really keep it basic with your skincare routine. And I know that it's tempting if you're unhappy with your skin to test out new products to see if you can see results more quickly, but trust me, this is definitely not the time to test out a new 12-step skincare routine. Focus on the basics like hydrating and moisturizing and replenishing your skin, and keep that routine simple. Cleanser, moisturizer, maybe a hydrating serum, tretinoin at night, sunscreen in the morning. That's really all the focus should be when you are first starting off tretinoin. So put aside the exfoliants, the acne fighting cleansers, the oily skin toners. All of those products can just increase likelihood for irritation. We can reintroduce them later if needed, but not now. Next, there is a whole community online of tretinoin users who swear by Tret on wet, which is the process of applying tretinoin on top of damp skin in order to enhance penetration of that ingredient and as a result, enhance your results. But the issue with that is that can increase likelihood for irritation. So in the beginning, I would recommend applying tretinoin on top of dry skin. So after you cleanse, if you're applying a serum, a moisturizer, wait until your skin has dried, then apply tretinoin. Then again, kind of similar to these other products that we're going to be pausing use on, that can be something that you explore down the road if you want to try that out and see if you see improved results. But for now, no Tret on wet. Let's talk about a couple of areas that you may want to avoid applying tretinoin altogether, especially in the beginning. So there are two main areas that are known for not being able to tolerate tretinoin as well as the skin on our face. And those areas are around our eyes, so the skin like underneath and on top of our eyelids, and also the skin on our neck. So I know that a lot of dermatologists will just recommend avoiding applying tretinoin there forever, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be an issue for everybody. So just as one example, I know that both my mom and my sister are not able to apply tretinoin to their neck without irritation. I decided to try it out this winter. So for about the first 3 years of my tretinoin journey, I was never applying it on my neck because I had just heard the neck does not tolerate Tret well. But this winter I was like, I'm just gonna try it out. Let's just see what happens. And I have never once had irritation on my neck after using tretinoin. So because I know I don't have issues with it and I want the anti-aging benefits on my neck as well, I do apply tretinoin to my neck, but it may not work for you. It may cause irritation. So just be mindful of that. I've also tried applying tretinoin around my eyes because the lines around my eyes are the most prominent lines on my face. So I was like, I just want to see, even though I know it may end up really irritating my skin, I'll take the risk and we'll see. And if I'm not careful and I use a little bit too much product, or I apply that tretinoin on top of damp skin around my eyes, I can end up with some redness, some flakiness, a little bit of scaly skin. But if I'm careful and I wait until my skin is dry, I apply it on top of moisturizer and I only use a tiny amount, like I'm not pumping out extra for my eyes, I'll just bring it up around that area. I don't have issues and I'm able to use it there as well. So I definitely don't bring that up to try to convince you to apply tretinoin to those areas. Not at all. I'm just often asked about both of those areas and if I apply Tret there. So I wanted to make sure that I was letting you guys know what I do and why that's something that you may want to avoid. And that is a nice segue into my next tip, which is to be careful with slugging. If you take a very thick, occlusive moisturizer like Vaseline, for example, and apply that on top of tretinoin, that can increase irritation, especially if you do that when you first start using tretinoin in your skincare routine. And it makes sense when you think about what slugging is and what it's designed to do for the skin. Ointments like that almost create a protective layer on the skin that really trap in water and any skincare ingredients that you have underneath it to prevent the loss of moisture. So it makes sense why that's something that could accelerate irritation when you're using Tret. So If you are a nighttime slugger in your skincare routine, I would recommend pausing that for now. Again, it's something that you may be able to reintroduce into your routine later on. Once your skin has adapted to tretinoin, it could be something similar to Tret on Wet that you may want to test out at some point to see even better results. That is another thing that some Tret users absolutely swear by, but that will be totally up to you. I don't slug all over my face because I just don't like the feeling of it, but I do slug, as many of you know, around my eyes at night. That's like my nighttime eye cream, and I have been able to continue doing that and kind of bringing Tret up and around my eyes, again, if I'm super careful. But I have had situations where I wasn't super careful with it, I used a little bit too much, I slugged, and that definitely made the irritation and flakes worse. My second to last tip is for when your skin has finally adapted to tretinoin. If you are in that place and you really want to reintroduce some of those acids or exfoliants that we talked about discontinuing in the beginning of the video, to do so very slowly, if you even reintroduce them at all. I think social media has a way of making us feel like we need to be doing and using the most in order to see the best results with our skin, but that is 100% not true at all. Oftentimes for me, when I have tried to introduce a new product like that can be irritating, I just end up with skin barrier damage and I can't use it. At this point, the only active that I'm using in my skincare routine is tretinoin, and I'm super happy with how my skin looks. So that just goes to show you don't need all of these products to get really nice looking skin. But if you want to reintroduce an active, see if that, enhances your results, introduce it slowly. Start off with once a week, then work up to twice a week slowly. Don't try to aim for doing that every single day when you're testing out that ingredient again, and aim for lower percentages of those actives as well. This is definitely not the time to just slap on the Ordinary's 30% AHA BHA peel. No, not the time. And my final tip before we move on to that 5-phase process is, if you ever get to a point where your skin looks like this, which may happen, even if you do all the things that we just talked through, that could still happen, and that's okay. Happened to me. Discontinue the use of tretinoin until your skin has healed. For the love of God, please do not put tretinoin on top of skin that looks like that. All that is going to do is make it worse and then make it take that much longer for your skin to heal. Stop using tretinoin, focus on really moisturizing, replenishing ingredients. That's where you can slug to really help to speed up that healing process. I do have an entire video that I posted maybe like a year and a half ago at this point, talking all about skin barrier damage, the products and ingredients to be on the lookout for. So I will list that below if you maybe want to watch that in preparation for Tret, or if you are in a situation like this right now. I share my tips there. Okay, those are all of the tretinoin hacks that I wanted to share for this video. So let's wrap this up with that step-by-step process for getting your skin to adapt to tretinoin, which I would say is the biggest hack of them all in this video. Phase 1 is to apply tretinoin every 3rd or 4th night as the last step in your skincare routine. So cleanser, serum if you're using one, moisturizer, then tretinoin. Applying tretinoin last is a really good way to minimize irritation because you have that moisturizer underneath kind of as a buffer between tretinoin and your skin. So that's something that I will do if I feel like my skin is just acting up, it's a little bit more sensitive than it normally is, but I don't have actual barrier damage to where I would stop using Tret. If I'm having irritation a little bit, then I will apply moisturizer first, then Tret on top of that, and it really does help. When you are able to follow those steps in phase 1 and have no signs of irritation like redness, stinging, burning, flakiness, scaly looking skin, then you are ready to move on to phase 2. And that is the approach that I would recommend taking for moving on from phase to phase in this entire 5-phase process. And the reason why I recommend following that approach instead of trying to goal yourself to a specific amount of time in each phase is that the amount of time that it takes your skin to adapt to tretinoin in each phase is not really something you can predict. So instead of trying to match what worked for somebody else and trying to achieve the same timeline as someone else, Just move at a timeline and a pace that works for your skin. Again, this is all about the long game. We don't want to end up with barrier damage. All right, phase 2 is going to be applying tretinoin every other night instead of every third or fourth night, but continuing to apply it last in your skincare routine on top of moisturizer. Then we will move on to phase 3 when we're ready, and in that phase, we will apply tretinoin every night and again last on top of moisturizer. In phase 4, we're going to be alternating a little bit, so it may sound kind of confusing at first, but it's very straightforward, I promise. One night you are going to apply tretinoin last on top of moisturizer. The next night you will apply tretinoin second to last before moisturizer. And you may have to adjust that if that is a little bit too irritating for you at that point, to applying tretinoin last on top of moisturizer for 2 nights in a row or even 3 nights in a row, and then doing tretinoin under applying tretinoin under moisturizer on the second or third or fourth night. You can really flex this to fit whatever works for your skin. Then after that, we are ready for the 5th and final phase, which is to apply tretinoin every single night underneath moisturizer. And that is how you get your skin to adapt to tretinoin with as little irritation as possible. I do want to make sure that I'm saying that if you feel you can't comfortably exist in a certain phase, that sounds weird, but like, if you hit phase 4 and you feel like it just never agrees with your skin, or same thing with phase 5, that's totally okay. You don't have to hit that phase. I just wanted to walk through that because that is the process that I followed so that I could apply tretinoin basically directly on top of my skin without that moisturizer as a buffer. But if you feel that you can never do that without, ongoing irritation and you need that buffer, or you can't apply it every single night without irritation, then that's totally fine. You have to do what works best for your skin. So please know that I will always stand by that. I'm never trying to convince anyone to do something just because it worked for me. I just wanted to break that down because, again, I get questions on this all the time. All right, you guys, those are all of the tips that I wanted to share for this video. I was originally planning to make this a Q&A as well, to tack that on at the end of this video, but once I started to kind of write down all of my notes, I was like, no, I can't do that, or this is going to be way, way, way too long of a video. So what I am thinking is that I can do a follow-up video that is a dedicated tretinoin Q&A, or just retinoids Q&A in general. It doesn't have to just be tretinoin, where I can answer all of the questions that you guys have about using those products, those ingredients, anything that you want to know. I would love to answer. So leave your questions in the comments below. I also did post a poll on Instagram, and I took note of all of the questions that you had, so I can combine that with your comments, and we will have a nice juicy Tret Q&A video coming soon. But we will wrap up this video here. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, click on that notification bell, and send my channel to a friend. Thank you so much for doing all of those things. Your support means the world. Thank you for watching this video. I love you guys so much. If there's anything that you would like to see from me next on this channel, don't hesitate to leave that in the comments as well. But stay tuned for my next video because it will be up in a few days. And until then, I hope you have a great few days.